culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on the fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
In this year's owners' meetings, not much has changed in the NFL landscape, but there were a few big decisions made. In an attempt to massage the egos of the refs union, the motion to make roughing the passer reviewable was rejected. It doesn't matter. We all knew it was going to be like reviewing pass interference a few years ago, where only a play or two was overturned and blatant PI wasn't because reasons. You will, however, see more potential ref ball and players with the number 0 on the field. There will also be no gradual cuts down to the final roster in the preseason from 90 players, which should keep starters fresh for a probable wave of injuries in week 2 of the season. Speaking of changes that no one wants, there's a chance that Thursday Night Football will have flex scheduling. It's more than likely going to be up for vote in May, and would give teams at least 15 days notice of a change from Sunday to Thursday. This would be terrible for the game, but remember, the dollar is what drives the NFL. TV rights fees are far more important to the league than the fans, and we all know it. It'll probably be reality barring a miracle. On to the NFC's moves. Speaking of overly drawn-out and annoying quarterback dilemmas, there's a certain Lamar Jackson that still needs a place to play. When he was put on the transition tag, we expected the market to be robust for his services. It hasn't. Turns out no one wants to pay for a QB when Baltimore could just match the deal and leave a team fucked. For the past few months, this relationship has gone south faster than the snowbirds to Florida in the winter. Unfortunately, it may be too late to repair it. Lamar has formally requested a trade. And if he doesn't get the moon base that he desires, he may just hold out and not play next season. But Baltimore knows this, and are playing a comically large boombox outside his apartment. They want him back in the fold. They're bringing in receivers to help him for once. Not just Nelson Aguilar, but OBJ. He's declined from what he was and is coming off a torn ACL, but with that name power alone, it should help out. For $15 million minimum?
Baltimore Ravens select Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College.
Baltimore and wide receiver is about as critical a need as a man in water after 3 days in the desert. Zay Flowers is the perfect fit for what Baltimore runs, and hopefully he'll fulfill his potential unlike the last few firsts they've invested in the position. It's good that we're focusing on this problem instead of others. Big news occurred just before the draft. The great Lamar debate has finally been settled. They both stopped their brief separation and renewed their vows. Lamar stepped off the ledge of his exorbitant demands, but he got paid, becoming the highest paid QB in yearly value with $185 million guaranteed. It's fair value for what Lamar brings to the table. As much as I would have loved to see Lamar in a different division, it would have been weird without him as a Raven. Saved at the 11th hour. The second age of Lamar Jackson is upon us, and it nearly didn't happen either. No longer will he be handcuffed by Romans, but unleashed with an arsenal carefully scripted by Todd Monken. The long-suffering offense has been set free, as Lamar will hopefully have more than one target to throw to this time around. OBJ might not be what he was, but it's an upgrade, albeit an expensive one. We all know that they can add all these weapons, give themselves a fresh coat of paint, spend money on Jadeveon Clowney even though they're set with young players at edge. None of it matters unless they can stay healthy. It's destroyed them the last 2 seasons. In fact, it's already happening. Marlon Humphrey is out indefinitely with foot surgery. This team literally can't catch a break. Unless it's apparently a bone that snaps. Gods, please spare Lamar Jackson this year. One word comes out of my mouth in regards to the AFC. Stacked. It's going to be a goddamn bloodbath in this conference. And it can be argued whomever makes the Super Bowl will win it outright. Regardless, predicting anything is somewhat of a coin flip. In the AFC East, regardless of competition, the Bills are still the best in class in my opinion. AFC North, barring more injury to Joe Burrow, Cincy takes it with their elite offense. The AFC South, it's Jacksonville's to lose. They have to win it by default, right? Although we did say that about Tennessee last year. And the AFC West is a Kansas City affair. As usual. Wild cards, though, they're really hard to gauge. Pick them out of a hat, I guess. Ravens, Chargers, and Jets. Why Jets? Because this is usually how ridiculous it tends to be. Sue me. I'm sorry for all the teams I jinxed as always. I regret nothing. I don't know what the hell you pissed off Baltimore, but I'd strongly recommend appeasing that god before it's too late. On the surface, it's a rather convincing win. The Texans were outclassed in many facets. The Ravens' teammate CJ Stroud's debut was miserable as possible. The The standard fare with little drama against a team they should beat. However, the blood toll must be paid, and it will be brutal in cost. Mark Andrews ruled out before the game. Ronnie Stanley injured. Tyler Linderbaum injured. Marcus Williams tore his pec. And J.K. Dobbins cursed to hell and back. Torn Achilles after a torn ACL on a contract year. The gods show absolutely no mercy. And to make it worse, Lamar was far from optimal in the new offensive scheme. Still time to right the ship there, but the injuries, man. Did you make a deal for 2012? Is that the reason why there's so much pain here? Cincy, you are in deep fucking shit. Week 1 we can excuse as a fluke because a lot of weird things happen then. But for 2 games in a row, there's cause for serious concern. A few things out of the way. Yes, the Bengals are banged up. Yes, Joe Burrow still has some rust to shake off. Yes, this is probably an aberration to what they really are. But do you have any answers for the Ravens offense? They not only dominated possession, they boasted a balanced attack that Cincy seemingly couldn't stop. The Ravens also had some growing pains on offense, but with over 400 yards of it, they looked damn good here. Bursting out to a lead early and holding on for what remained. When the Bengals finally woke up to counter, it was too late. The game was lost. You should know the Escalooser goes in only one direction. Down. Baltimore don't think you got out of this unscathed either. OBJ's out now too. How am I not shocked by this? Thank God Zay Flowers had his breakout. Ugly, ugly football. Conditions that epitomize the mess on display on both teams in this sordid display. The same tropical storm that's raining down on New York is being dealt with here. And apparently that means the Ravens must suffer being watered down. If you guess that they'd horrifically play down to competition in these conditions, you get nothing. This is what they pretty much do on regularity. We don't even get the Anthony Richardson versus Lamar sprinting contest in this one. Gardner Minshew and his meme magic get the call today. Not that it matters, since the Ravens kneecap themselves at every conceivable opportunity. Fumbles aplenty, 3 and outs, being unable to stop Zach Moss whenever he rumbles into the second level. Sure, blame some of it on Matt Gay turning into peak Justin Tucker today, but this is ridiculous. Indianapolis shouldn't be anywhere close to this game, spirited effort on their part or not. The game is coming down to the wire. The Ravens are squeaking by with a 1-point lead like the little squirt that comes out when you sit on the toilet. That's what it feels like here. Indy has the ball at their own goal line, but... Oh no, Gardner, what have you done? You pulled an Orlovsky? Don't look into the eyes of hell, Gardner! Gardner! Now up by 3 and getting ball back, the Ravens should win this one, right? Nope, they get chicken shit in their play calling and are forced to punt. At this point, the Ravens are down to their 4th string secondary, so Minshew's able to dice them up pretty easily, and Matt Gay turns into Justin Tucker yet again. Game time. The Ravens still have a chance to pull this off, though. They stumble and bumble, but there's space for Justin Tucker himself to do his magic.
Kick is on its way! Justin Tucker, and it comes up short!
Oh my. I don't care that it was a 61-yarder in terrible elements. This is a shocking revelation. Overtime will come, and it will be just as ugly as the 4 quarters before. Offensive stagnation aplenty in the mud-soaked trenches. With the Colts turned away by the Ravens' defense in no man's land. This should mean the Ravens escape with a win, right? Right, Baltimore?
Jackson, incomplete!
Yes, that was defensive pass interference on this 4th down, but forgive me if I'm not feeling overly sympathetic to their plight. John Harbaugh has proven time and time again that he got outcoached into a blender. And here comes Matt Gay to deliver the dagger.
Snap good, hold good, kick on the way! And he's done it!
Indy takes away the game in a Mayflower truck in the middle of the night. This game should have been won by the Ravens at least 15 times over, yet they pissed it away in a drunken bender by the pier. As desolate and abandoned as the inner harbor. And the punishment for failing is even worse. Their injury report. This is a goddamn Pro Bowl roster. It's beginning again. Is your strength and conditioning simply New Age voodoo? For the 3rd year in a row? NFL fans around the world rejoice! Deshaun Watson is dealing with an elbow injury that will keep him out of this game. Begin the sensation that is Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback. He got eaten alive. Another reason why preseason stats should be taken with a pinch of salt. Because the Ravens defense was eager to crush someone after falling apart last week. Only 166 yards of offense surrendered all day. And against their vastly inferior clone, what isn't a better outcome than watching Cleveland die yet again? Even their defense would have no chance at being successful. They had only given up 1 offensive touchdown in 3 games to this point. Lamar had 4 of them on his own. No matter what happens, Art Modell will piss all over Cleveland in the afterlife. I think they call that rain up there. AFC North football is an acid trip. Even then, that's not a good enough explanation for whatever the hell this game was. Matt Canada is apparently on the hot seat, which we all know isn't going to mean anything since the Steelers don't fire coaches. They can't fire a damn thing on offense either. The Boo Birds are flying down throughout every shitty play call and failed drive with pre-snap motion. The fan base yells fire Canada in unison, but you'd have to keep going to get any real change. Unfortunately for all of us, Mike Tomlin is a master of voodoo and the dark arts. The other team will conveniently fall apart when it matters yet again. The Ravens' receiving core hadn't dropped a pass all season, yet now they're dropping 9 mostly super easy catches with big implications. They pissed away at least 16 to 23 points just by fucking the ball every chance they got. Lamar's about to grab a machete and start hacking off their hands, because they sure as hell aren't using them here. If they aren't fucking up, then John Harbaugh's being a fucking idiot. Take the points and go up by 2 scores, dude. Don't try this cute shit before half. You're keeping Pittsburgh in the game in spite of how terrible they look. You know what they say? The longer you fuck around, the more you'll find out.
Snaps it. And it's blocked! Pittsburgh blocks it!
And right on cue, the Ravens begin to reap what they've dropped. Their offense has gone from dominant to hesitant and nervous, afraid to fuck up. And they're fucking up as a result. Even their defense is crumbling to Steeler, whatever you can call what they're doing. Be thankful that Matt Canada's a shit play caller and the offense can't perform. They're stuck kicking a field goal in the red zone. Their attack gets eaten alive again, but thankfully the Ravens have a secret weapon. Gunnar Olszewski. Why is this guy still on the team? Put this man where he belongs. In the garbage. I'd celebrate Baltimore's long guaranteed win, but then Lamar makes the shittiest throw he makes all game. Look, I know your receivers can't catch, but don't throw the ball right to the fucking cornerback. The Ravens can't get out of their own way, and the Steelers are getting bailed out of their own incompetence. As Kenny Pickett finally turns on since Matt Canada is locked away in a closet. Everyone watching already knows what's gonna happen.
We're down to 1:23 to go on a 2nd and 9. Pickett lines up a deep ball. Separation. Touchdown. George Pickens.
You are absolutely pathetic, Baltimore. You spent too much time pissing around, wasting endless chances, and it cost you the damn game. The Ravens should have won this game by 30. That's how poorly they played. The Steelers are out here fucking up on kneeing plays, and you still can't overcome their failures. This was total self-destruction. Technically, both teams lost. Pittsburgh may be temporary kings of the North, but Matt Canada's staying put. Nothing's going to change. This has literally been the Steelers for the past 5 or 6 years. Getting bailed out by splash plays and the other damn team collapsing to bullshit to another goddamn 9-win season. As it has always been written, Steelers guys Super Bowl. Color me unimpressed with this shit pile of a London game. Both teams suck ass, albeit in entirely differing ways. Tennessee is just dead. They are stone cold dead in the ground. King Henry can only do so much, you know. The Titans were flat out dominated in all facets and smited to hell like their opponent was Zeus. Yet if you look at the final score, you'll realize it was only a 1-possession game. That's because, like most weeks, the Ravens refused to take advantage of the gobs upon gobs of opportunities presented to them. So many chances in the red zone wasted away thanks to receiver drops and failures in execution. You better be thanking the holiest deity that the Justin Tucker bot was working as expected. Even then, we witnessed second half Ravens.exe as they implode nearly every facet to only lead by 5. And King Henry is rumbling. Now we wonder if they blow it again. They're fortunate today. Ryan Tannehill's cooked. In fact, he was knocked out of the game in the 4th quarter with major injury. With how sad he's been looking, it might be a mercy killing. Malik Willis then comes in and attracts defenders for sacks like flies on shit. He was sacked 4 times in about 5 minutes. So the Ravens win, yet somehow lose at the same time. The Titans just lose and lose more. What a shit game. Before you say anything, I don't hate the Baltimore Ravens. I'm brutal as hell on them, and for very good reason, but hatred isn't it. They just frustrate me with their massive inconsistency on offense. They'll suddenly forget how to play football against the Colts and Steelers of the world, yet ram the Lions repeatedly like a Ford Pinto. Detroit didn't even have gas in the tank today. Even then, they still combusted on first impact. Lamar just walked on them like they were a bug underneath his foot. A squash match where the Motor City rusted away like an abandoned factory. Problem is, I'm not even happy for the Ravens for playing up to their potential. I'm livid at them. Yes, Baltimore, do this more often, would you please? I'm tired of you being a different team on offense nearly every week. I know what you're capable of against the best. Embrace your greatness. Baltimore continually frustrates me with their inconsistency on the offensive side of the ball. They have the potential to dominate their opponents like they did last week. But with each new slate, it's as if the Ravens run a hard reset on their servers. For whatever reason, Baltimore just did nothing for most of the game. Lamar couldn't get anything going. The receivers couldn't separate from a weak secondary. Their attack had to be dragged out of mud by a Gus bus. I don't understand how they can just look completely lost for entire games. You better be treating that defense to a high-end steak dinner for the bailout job they put on today, because they were the main reason the Ravens won anything. It is their third straight win, and I'm probably being too harsh on them considering the travel they've had to do, but once again, it's out of concern. I know what they can be, and if they can be consistent, great things could come. Arizona too, but they're just waiting for Kyler to come back. The Cardinal rule only overcomes Dallas. I've been quite harsh on Baltimore this year, but it's for good reason. Because at their peak, they can be a machine that rolls past legitimate opponents. The Seahawks have their warts, but they were made to look like a bunch of ill-prepared, untalented scrubs. Pure efficiency and excellence by the Ravens in every single facet of play. A running game humming like a bird. Almost 300 yards of rushing, including almost 140 of them by Keaton Mitchell. 500 yards of offense total. Their defense? Impenetrable. Seattle could do absolutely nothing. And it showed on more than just the scoreboard. It might be the Ravens' most convincing win on the season, eating their opponent alive for 60 consecutive minutes. He also got a fruit basket in the mail. San Francisco thanks you for the destruction of their rival. It gets them the NFC West Division lead back for now. Sean Watson is doing what he does best, handing the game away on a silver platter. The hell is this for me at in Houston? In fact, where's the defense? Baltimore is going ham on this group of elves. Browns look completely dead and have fallen to a very early deficit. How poorly Deshaun has played in the first half, they're forced to settle for field goals. Thank God the Browns D managed to clamp up and bail out the day once again, but it's getting painful. A 24-9 lead for Baltimore at home in the third quarter. For normal teams, this should be the end of the match and the Ravens go to 8-2. However, this is the NFL. Everything is madness. Sportsball is turning into an MCU feature in length. The Browns had only one choice to counter Baltimore. Embrace the bullshit. They had to swallow their pride and become Pittsburgh. Slice away little bits of offense as Deshaun minimizes mistakes and they tire out their defense. It gets them back in the game, but it'd be nice if they wouldn't fumble punts. Alas, the Ravens score another touchdown, but there must be more voodoo magic from Stefanski. The offense continues to force endless chaos to the end zone for another touchdown. And then the high-end talent comes into view. Lamar Jackson getting a pass deflected into the arms of a pick six. I'd say it'd be tied, but it's so Cleveland to miss the extra point after the fact. Lamar's been brutal in this fourth quarter. This is why they pay him the big bucks, I guess. So Cleveland can grind it out Pittsburgh style against their foe and whittle away all remaining time on the clock. Field goal range has arrived. It's over. Cleveland stick it to Modell and drive the dagger.
Hopkins from 40 for the win. It is good.
The Ravens let another easy win slip away. I don't understand how the fuck this keeps happening. Games that should cement them in the elite echelon only serving to keep them in the limbo outside the upper crust. Sure, blame the refs and injuries on the O-line. Browns were without both starting tackles today. Are they complaining? No, they just adapted to adversity, pushing out a win. And they more than earned it. Are you ever gonna stop this shit, Ravens? I beg you, fucking stop!
You blew it.
You should know that no matter what teams they put on Thursday Night Football, it will be a terrible game. Even the ugly, brutal powers of the AFC North will be no match for what's on display here. Folks, this is what we call an injury bowl. Most players worth watching will deal with some form of ailment. In the case of Mark Andrews, an injury for the remainder of the season. Baltimore would use their balanced attack to pull away in the end to make this a lopsided contest, but there's a very good reason for it. Joe Burrow's wrist died along with Cincy, thus proving that we can have no nice things in this league. Jake Browning had thrown only one pass before this moment, their opponent all but wins by default. As the Ravens hunt for any remaining survivors on the Gus Bus, Logan Wilson will be playing a new game in the next night or two. Escape from Baltimore. After injuring 3 key players by playing football, the city will have him drawn and quartered if they find him. Watching the Chargers play football is an evergreen experience. You can simply gaze at box scores after the fact and come to the conclusion that, yep, chargering happened again. Despite every opportunity to take hold of the match, and trust me, there were plenty, Liquid LA continually cursed themselves no matter what. So the refs aren't going to call a late hit on Herbert out of bounds. Well, they'll just use an Uno reverse card on you for unnecessary roughness. Baltimore may be leading, but they can't stop being held back by John Harbaugh being John Harbaugh. But my friends, we know the Chargers have to one-up it in the best way possible. Painful fumbles by skill position players. On multiple occasions. And golden chances as well. Ravens may be leading by 10, but they've checked out from trying to pass block. And the Bolts have a chance. A 19-play drive, burning endless clock and imposing their will. What do they do as they get to the red zone? Can't seal the edge, fumble in the pocket, recovered by Baltimore. This was their whole damn game. Doesn't matter that they scored a touchdown late because Justin Tucker's automatic.
Good from 42, good from 48, and from 44, he missed! Oh my goodness.
Holy shit, he's mortal. Too bad the Chargers are no longer lingering on the mortal coil. As I said, what's the point of having expectations for this team? Baltimore was definitely beatable here, but Liquid LA can't stop falling for the same damn traps over and over again. A flawed team with a failed vision, poor coaching, and no cohesion. And it grants the Ravens the #1 seed in the AFC for the time being. Predictable Chargers. At least they didn't lose by 3 or less this time. God showed mercy. We've only got 5 weeks left in the season from hell itself. That means the playoffs are about to be seen as we crest over the hill. And then the race to the finish will truly begin. The AFC is a mosh pit as we all expected. Right now, Miami is the current #1 seed by tiebreaker, despite questions that linger. Baltimore, after their bye week, is slotted at #2. Kansas City and Jacksonville, after some rough losses at home this past week, are the final division leaders at 3 and 4. The 3 wildcard spots are bunched up, as the Steelers, Browns, and Colts are all 7 and 5. The Texans are also 7 and 5, but the first team out. Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo sit on the fringes at 6 and 6, and the Chargers and Raiders are kinda there at 5 and 7. This is the playoff situation, and the madness is only going to amplify. There's only one rule, and sadly the Panthers didn't follow it. Don't get eliminated! This is a low-key intriguing matchup in the early window. The Rams are in position to strike for a wildcard spot. The Ravens are eager to prove they can finish opponents off. The last time they played each other in Baltimore, the result was heartbreak for the home crowd. They're hoping to avoid that in a surprisingly back-and-forth affair. Both Stafford and Lamar are taking turns picking up our defensive fronts and coverages throughout. We have ourselves a battle here, folks. All tied up at 20 halfway through the third quarter. Times are tight as... Oh no! Oh dear. Oh dearie, dearie, dear. It's not ideal, is it? It's all good, though. The Ravens defense clamps up, forcing a punt, and Lamar gets revenge with a methodical, precise drive to get them to the red zone. But it isn't enough. The field goal does get them the lead, however. Now it's time for the Rams to counter. Some outstanding catches and dissecting of zone defense have gotten LA into an ideal territory. And they punch it in for a touchdown to retake the lead. The 2-point conversion fails, though. Can't have everything go your way. Baltimore, it's concerning, but here is your chance to avenge past failures. To prove to us all that you are the class of the AFC in every way possible. Lamar is doing his job to accomplish it. They do what needs to be done in the effort to resecure a lead. The red zone has been reached, but the walls are closing in. 3rd and 17 coming up. Put up or shut up time, Ravens.
Deep drop. Time to throw. Lets it rip. He's got Flowers! Touchdown!
That's why you pay that man the big bucks. Not to mention a 2-point conversion to go up by 3. There's just too much time on the clock. Stafford's been known for his heroics in the past. Things are getting tense, but fortunately the Rams can push forward into the end zone. And overtime awaits after a kick to tie the game. The Ravens get ball first, but can't do anything with the opportunity. The Rams were nice and responded in kind. Baltimore might need a miracle.
Tylan Wallace from the 25. Allen Wallace breaks out of the tackle, takes it down the sideline. He stays in bounds. He stays on his feet. He takes it all the way and ends the game. There are no flags.
So caught up in narratives that I swore to myself the Ravens would lose this game. What a world we live in where it doesn't happen. With this victory, Baltimore's won 7 of 8 and set themselves up nicely to secure the #1 seed in the AFC. You have my attention, Ravens. I can't truly shake the doubts, but wins like this help prove me wrong. Well done. Not the prettiest one in the world, but I'll take it. Well, this is gonna take a bit to sort out. Scriptwriters are generating so much hope that it could power a small town for years on end. A mediocrity carousel that'll make your head spin. The age of upsets brings us endless mosh pits. In the AFC, the Ravens seem to be the only team capable of separating themselves from the rest. Miami had a chance to match them, but they choked and are stuck at #2. But that's only because the Chiefs and Jaguars have been in a state of freefall as of late due to a variety of reasons. The first wildcard spot standing alone are the Joe Flacco-led Cleveland Browns. Gotta love overcoming adversity. Speaking of adversity, the Steelers have self-imposed it on themselves, yet are somehow bullshitting their way to the 6th seed. Even zanier Indianapolis holds the final spot by tiebreaker. It's a 6-way tie for 2 spots. The Texans, Broncos, Bengals, and Bills are alongside them fighting for a chance to move on. Welcome to the mess, kids. We've got 4 games left. Only 1 spot's been clinched and 2 teams are out. Buckle up. Keep your hands inside at all times. And one more thing. Don't get eliminated! If Jacksonville was panicking already, good lord, this matchup spiraled it all the way to DEFCON 1. Baltimore is a tough opponent in general, but with the way the Jags botched everything, it shows that they're suffering from the same damn problems that have plagued them all year. Where does it show the most? If you haven't been paying attention, it's the offense. Particularly red zone execution. Start with Brandon McManus making us all want Taco Bell. Then we apparently all got diarrhea from it, and McManus just shit a kick wide. The defense is giving the Jags a chance to do something with a bad pass by Lamar. But T-Law got happy feet scrambling and dropped the ball like it was a New Year's Eve countdown. It's most unfortunate that the Ravens managed to unleash their full attack on the next drive as Jackson works his typical mastery of rush evasion. Easy touchdown to make it 10-0. Jacksonville has an answer though. A deep pass to Zay Jones to get near the goal line. Time ticking down just before half. And they don't spike the ball? They threw a 1-yard out route? This is the same shit that got Dougie P fired in Philly. That first half cost them the damn game. Of course, Baltimore would continue to pile on. With Duvall's offense out of sorts, there was nothing they could do. A potential #1 seed a few weeks ago has now fallen to 3 straight losses. And a 3-way tie for the AFC South. The only saving grace is that they have a soft schedule to end the year, but concerns are rampant. Not in Baltimore, though. They have the world at their fingertips. And their greatest challenge is coming up. January's past can once again be avenged. Another tick of the clock is passed. And while several teams have secured tickets to the dance, there is so much more at stake in this final stretch. The first seed in the AFC is all but Baltimore's to gain. Barring a sudden skid, they'll be getting a needed first-round bye. Miami and Kansas City have a chance, but will need a lot of help for it to happen. The AFC East is still a contest, mostly because of Miami's choke. If the Dolphins lose these next 2 games and Buffalo wins them, it would set up a Week 18 clash for all the marbles. The AFC South is the next premier destination. With Jacksonville's recent slide, there's a 3-way tie for the title. However, the Jags still control their own destiny in this regard. The Texans and Colts have roughly an even chance of claiming it for themselves. The wildcard situation is still murky. Cleveland's win has all but guaranteed them a slot, but there's still a 4-way tie for 2 spots. Cincinnati's still rattling off wins, Indy and Houston are defying logic itself, and the Bills are coming in red hot. Pittsburgh and Denver are all but out due to recent defeats, but still have an outside chance. I wish you all good tidings and safe travels in this final week of 2023. Christmas season is hectic, but these holidays get more special with age. Enjoy your time with friends and family, cherish what you have in life, and do me one favor, please. Don't get eliminated! If Ali versus Frazier were personified in a matchup, this is it. The heavyweight bout for an age. Or if you're Rashard Mendenhall, the closest thing to his ideal Pro Bowl. This was supposed to be a championship preview. Brock Purdy is a shoo-in for MVP? Is this your king? Against the Ravens, the 49ers walked into the ring proud and tall. They leave humiliated and bloodied as they fall for every single trap laid out. The Purdy haters have waited in the shadows for this moment, and tonight they celebrate their miracle. Brock looked completely exposed in the elements of California, being picked apart and then picked off again and again. 4 interceptions into the infant stages of the third quarter. Baltimore made him look XFL tier. The injury that took him out was a showing of mercy. We all hailed San Francisco as the de facto Super Bowl favorite. They've been knocked off their perch, and in its stead is a Raven. Their defense laid that powerful foe to waste. And Lamar and his weapons did the rest. One of the greatest statements Baltimore's made in a long time. And this is their ultimate chance. They take out Miami next week. The only thing that can stop them are themselves. 2 more weeks to go, yet we have solved next to nothing. A few more pieces have moved into position, but very little set in stone. 2 teams clinched, 2 more eliminated, yet there are still 10 more teams that need to be cut off from the pack. Only 2 real contenders remain for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Baltimore and Miami. Conveniently, they play each other next week. The winner of that matchup likely decides the first round bye. Yet Cleveland's still got a very slim chance to claim it. I don't know how, but life is strange like that. The AFC East has no change, but Miami clinches it with a win or Buffalo loss. Any other outcome will set up a Week 18 matchup for the crown and its spoils. The AFC South might be the real tank division. Everyone lost. Same scenario as last week, with Jacksonville still somehow controlling their own destiny. Don't fuck up against Carolina. The wildcards are still a hot mess. Cleveland is all but a given, but Buffalo has escaped certain humiliation with a strong run of form. The 7th seed from hell is still Indianapolis's domain. But the Texans, Steelers, and Bengals are clinging on to their rear bumper. Denver's devastating losses all but knocked them out of contention. Yet the Raiders are defying life itself. You tell me how that is. We have 2 weeks left, and the purge will shortly commence. Make your preparations now, for there will only be one phrase chanted throughout the land. Don't get eliminated! Baltimore has everything to prove in the next month and change. To overcome all the narrative setbacks and past failures, they will have to be at their best to secure the ultimate prize. If they keep playing like they did against Miami, I think there's a decent chance of that happening. This matchup wasn't a simple win. The Ravens picked their enemies to the bone. They razed everything to the ground. They salted the earth so nothing can grow again. Lamar Jackson bulldozed whatever was left and pissed on the remains. They sent another message. If you stand in Baltimore's way, do so at your own peril. Those that aren't prepared will be broken, physically and psychologically. Look at the Dolphins and their bodies strewn on the battlefield. This will be you. And there will be no choice but to try and go through them since they're the number 1 seed in the AFC. Maybe the Dolphins will get their shit together and secure their division against Buffalo next week. Or maybe they won't suffer even more injuries. Would have been nice not to choke against the fucking Titans, just saying. Things got much clearer and much more confusing at the same time. I don't know how that's possible, but we must accept this chaotic landscape known as reality. There were some clinchings, however, many scenarios must be cleared up. The AFC East is still in play. If Miami's loss and Buffalo's win, it sets up a winner-take-all scenario where both teams have everything to play for. Miami will make the playoffs regardless, but Buffalo can still miss with a loss. The difference between the number 2 seed and potentially going home. The AFC South was the polar opposite of last week. Everybody won, which means that all 3 of Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Houston have a shot at the division title. The Jags control their own destiny, but if they slip up, the winner of Colts-Texans claims it for their own. If Jacksonville fails, there are still 2 wildcard spots open, and 2 teams will leave empty-handed. Buffalo is one and done, and the winner of Indy-Houston should claim one of these spots. Pittsburgh needs some help. Either a Buffalo or Jacksonville loss, or, God forbid, Houston and Indy tie next week. Plus, they have to take care of their own business. There is a scenario where Pittsburgh gets in with a loss, but it's very convoluted. It's crunch time, boys. The final week is upon us. You've made it this far, but the cold reality is there are only so many spots available. Good luck, and may the gods smile upon you. Don't get eliminated! For the bullshit to continue to be real, the Steelers will have to unravel the mystery of Baltimore. The good news is that the Ravens are resting plenty of starters since there's nothing to play for. The bad? It's all but in a monsoon. And the refs from the Detroit-Dallas fuckery are on assignment. Not that it really matters in these elements. Amplify that by PKFC North football and you get trench warfare. Endless grinding and plotting in the rain-soaked fields of battle. There's not much to say except that it was a game and it somehow happened. With a shitload of fumbles and punts, but it happened. In most situations involving ugly weather and the Ravens, Pittsburgh comes out on top. It's more of an asterisk win since Baltimore was playing a huge chunk of backups, but they'll take it all the same. Who doesn't want Najee to burst through for big games or Deontay Johnson to catch a football? 9 wins, 10 wins, no matter. Steelers require help to lose by 20 in the wildcard round. And they'll need more than that to survive a major injury to TJ Watt. I lied. They're losing by more than 20 if they make it. It has been settled. A little more anticlimactic than usual, but sometimes conclusions are very underwhelming. Just ask Game of Thrones. The playoff matchups are now set in stone. The AFC Baltimore gets a first-round bye to go up against the trainees from Police Academy. Buffalo somehow secures the second seed and a probable first-round bye since they're playing Pittsburgh at home. I'll laugh hysterically if they blow it. Kansas City managed to at least catch a third seed against Miami, with Tyreek Hill is returning to where he honed his craft for years. Houston, in the shocker of the year, wins 4th seed. They'll be taking on Cleveland in the Deshaun Watson Bowl. Fortunately, without Deshaun Watson. The NFC is just as trashy if we're being honest. San Francisco gets first-round bye. Leading off the bad news bears, Dallas secures the 2nd seed. And a matchup against Green Bay. No bad experiences in previous playoff matches there, I'm sure. Detroit gets 3rd seed in the ultimate revenge match. Matthew Stafford coming home to lead the Rams against them. The winner of Tank Division, in spite of themselves, is Tampa Bay. And they'll have a legitimate chance of winning since the only thing Philadelphia can beat is themselves at this point. Prepare yourselves accordingly. This year's been a shit show and I anticipate much more of the same in the playoffs. Take care, and I'll see you for the haters, guys. This season was an acid trip. Instability and wonkiness in nearly every game imaginable. The year of the backup quarterback. In some cases, the 3rd stringer. Or further than that. The Shield wants to squeeze every dollar it can out of the game, and it's showing in the quality of play. Every team sucks, everyone's a fraud, the league's product is shit, and there are only about 2 or 3 teams that might be competent. Endless trash abound. Let's put the victims on stage and roast them over a fire. Everything is pointing to a rise of the Raven. Witness how they have not only beaten, but forced Super Bowl contenders to bend the knee to them and be amazed. Lamar Jackson having the best year of his career flanked by receivers that can actually catch and a defense that stuffs everything that comes at them. And they're doing this without Mark Andrews. There's a chance he might be able to return. If he does, they're all but a shoo-in to represent the AFC after years of pain and turmoil. But before then, there are many questions that Baltimore needs to answer. Can Lamar overcome his playoff stigmas? And can the Ravens consistently finish off games? The only thing that can stop this team from success are themselves. Problem is, I've seen it happen to them repeatedly. I just can't shake the feeling that they're gonna let me down somehow. Maybe it's old stereotypes, but it's been a repeated trend for them. Don't do that this time, yeah? When you reach that final gauntlet, you have to find that extra gear. Despite how it may look on the surface, considering this year has been full of unpredictability on any given Sunday, I'm expecting some rather unusual results. I look forward to the memes. And yes, I know none of you are looking forward to this next segment. So who do I curse with the jinx this time around? Should be easy, but I'm starting to overthink this because why go after the obvious picks? It feels like it's bait. I don't know why, but it's gonna lure me into a trap. Knowing how every team has glaring flaws, I'm just gonna say Cowboys versus Chiefs. Why? Because nothing makes any goddamn sense. Just roll with it. I'm trying to as well, boys. 2 words best describe these playoffs. Fuck you. Fuck your feel-good stories. Fuck your narratives. And especially fuck likability. That shit doesn't get you to the promised land. Wins do. It's been a playoffs full of blowouts and humiliation, but it marches on all the same. Nearly everyone's pissed at the outcome. You know what to do. Start mining salt. You know, I could never escape the feeling that the Ravens were gonna blow it. One of the greatest opportunities in franchise history, with next to nothing standing in their way, and all they proceed to do is their specialty, beating themselves. Kansas City played a solid game, but in response, the Ravens kept chopping themselves off at the knees. Baltimore has this great running offense going against a mid-tier run defense in the Chiefs, and they only have 8 designed running plays. The horrific lack of discipline and execution was an agonizing sight to behold. All of that hyping for what? Zay Flowers selling the game with a taunting penalty while fumbling the ball at the fucking 1? That's not devastating whatsoever. It'll get overshadowed by Lamar reinforcing every playoff narrative against him on the final 2 drives. Know how they win? By not throwing the game into triple coverage. That's all they did. They panicked and let emotions get the best of them. Again. They've learned nothing. Kansas City just took advantage. Figures they fucked this up.